Hi all, this is Dr. J streaming live from Long Island, New York, where there's construction all around me, in the house, outside of the house, back side of the house, front side of the house. It doesn't matter. So I'm hoping this noise is not from my house, but from a neighbor. And maybe it's going to end soon. The birds I can't help. The birds we have to live with. Jake will be here shortly. We're going to have a debate between my buddy and me about the relative merits of owning CVM and staying in for the data. Jake is going to take the bear side, and I'm going to take the bullish side. And I guess that's really how it is in real life. So I'm eagerly awaiting Jake, and like I said, he'll be here in a minute. Heath is with us, and Heath says, "You demand, Doc." That's better than a lot of things other people have said about me lately. But that's okay. Every knock is a boost. And, when things are not going great in the market, you get a lot of unhappy people in general, I guess. But, let's hope for better days ahead. I believe there are better days ahead in the market. Cabinet guy is coming in well from the Green Mountain state of Vermont. And David is here. Good afternoon, David Corner 111. I have so many Davids, one of the more popular names. It's good to have all my Davids. Dave from Carmel, Catherine from Texas. Yes. I hear that in Houston, the coronavirus is more contagious than in other areas. And they're afraid that it's a mutant strain. Nice day on Long Island, Greg. Yeah, really warm and nice. But I can't get rid of the workers. I'm in Eastern Long Island, and my neighbor's yard, I think they're taking down a tree. I don't know what they're doing. And the front yard, we're getting a new porch. So there's noise inside the house, outside the house. It doesn't seem to matter where I hide. Who else is here today? Let's see. Pete is here. Oh, Jake is waiting for me to notice him. Jake, I'm sorry I didn't notice you.
Yeah, no worries. Only a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, so in Northeast Texas, it's better, Catherine says. How is it in Austin in terms of the coronavirus?
It doesn't feel too different. I mean, my favorite springs are closed down, so I can't go swimming.
Uh-huh.
Other than that, it's basically the same as before.
Yeah, I was just telling everyone that I posted on Twitter an article that I came across that the strain of virus in Houston was much more, not virulent, but contagious than the other strains. So it didn't do good. Even wearing a mask and washing your hands wasn't enough. It was so contagious. Wasn't more virulent, but that's the good news.
Yeah, typically virus do that, right? They mutate into a more contagious form, but less deadly. I mean, that's evolution.
Maybe that's true. They didn't say it was less deadly. They didn't say it was more deadly. They just said it was more contagious.
Yeah, that's been happening for the last 6 months. They found the same in Italy and other places where much more contagious form.
Well, early on, I remember Scott Gottlieb, the former FDA head, who's now on this board at Pfizer. I remember him on television predicting that as the virus spread over the course of 2 to 3 years, it'll become less virulent. That was his prediction.
Mm-hmm.
early on. I don't know if he still feels that way.
Oh yeah, I mean, it happens for almost all of these viruses. I mean, think about it, right? How your
Yeah,
house is that it doesn't want to kill off the host, so that's the first thing. But the name of the game is to become less deadly and more contagious.
yeah. Well, Vermont is very, very good state. It's been good. Cabinet guys said there was hardly any cases. Pete says 39 in a big town. But yeah, Vermont is one of those states that have been pretty good. I guess it's spread out. It's not a very dense state, low population, a lot of rural stuff. So let's get to our agenda. I'll share screen. We're going to do a debate on CVM. We're going to talk about athx. We're going to talk about bcrx, which I entered in a much bigger way. I bought a nice chunk yesterday at 322.
Oh wow, that's a good
Yeah,
deal.
no, 32.
Yeah, 32. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good deal.
yeah, and it's up today, I believe. Last I looked, anyway.
Yeah.
Not as much division in Vermont. A lot of it Republican governor. Okay, so they know how to reach across the aisles in Vermont. Also, I wanted to talk about the chart of the S&P 500 and the Qs, BCRX, CVM, athx, and also SAVA, which is I don't remember what they do again. I'm just teasing. You know what SAVA does?
No, but I've seen it tons.
They,
I've seen it all
they, they had a run from 2 to 10
That's
with
great.
tremendous insider buying,
Crazy.
and it's on an Alzheimer's
Wow.
drug. So I was trying to be funny that I can't remember what they
Oh,
do.
okay, yeah.
Not really too funny.
See, how come we didn't catch this one? This is great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right. So I'm going to look at the charts right now, and you want to have the debate first?
Hey, your call. You can do
I
whatever you
don't
want.
care. I'll let you choose. Last or first?
First.
Okay. I'm going to put the chart on for a moment, and then I'll take it off, and we'll just talk.
All right. What are we doing first? CVM?
Yep.
All right.
And then BCRX maybe, and we'll get around to everything.
Yeah.
But I do want to look at the chart just for a second before we go ahead and enter our debate stage. The chart is really simple, going all the way back. Remember I said trading range is likely all the way till data. I've been saying it all along, but if you look back to months and months, it's been essentially between 1180 and 1450. I put two ruled lines to mark it off. And that's really all I wanted to show, that we're towards the bottom end of the trading range today, even though we're up 20 cents at 1267. So I think it's clear to me, at least. I don't know how many people are going to argue with me about that we're not going anywhere until data. I think we stay in this trading range until data. So that's not really the point of the debate, but I just wanted to point that out. So I'm going to come off of screen sharing and we'll enter the debate mode. You know, it would be nice if somebody wanted to volunteer to moderate our debate. Someone from our friends from the chat group. I could put the address on the comments, and then we could get a moderator from amongst the crowd if somebody wants to moderate our debate. Or if not, I'll moderate it.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
So let's Let's see if anybody volunteers. Anybody volunteer to moderate our debate? In fact, I'll just put it up. Command C, and we'll see if somebody wants to come on and moderate. If you do, you got to shut YouTube. That's the trick. But I don't think I have the right address copy. I don't know why. Heath can't because he's selling ice cream.
Otherwise,
I want my cherry Garcia. Command C. Try it again. Godfather, you want to come on and moderate our debate?
we should have a debate with him and someone on the bcrx board.
Well, yeah, but we're not doing bcrx. We're doing CVM. We need a moderator.
No, that's fine. You look, just tell me why you're bullish, and I'll go the other way around.
All right. My argument for being bullish is essentially the mathematics. I'll do a simple case. First of all, why do you think they came up with the number 298 to end the trial? My guess is, as strictly a guess, that they figured after the dropouts, they would have about 600 people in the trial, 300 in each arm, and a third arm, of course, it didn't count the arm without the arm without the cocktail, Ziv cocktail, whatever it's called. This, I don't know, I forget what it stands for. Zinc cocktail. And all right, so if I'm right, there were 600 people by the time the dropouts left, and of that 600, they were awaiting 298 deaths. Now, if there were 300 in each arm, 300 in the multi-kind arm and 300 in the standard of care arm, then after 4.5 years, which is how long it took on average for the trial to end, or not for the trial to end, for a death to occur. So it took 4.5 years on average for a death to occur. Now, in 4.5 years' time, according to the Sears database, about 65% of the original group would have been dead, leaving 35% surviving. So let's be more generous and say 40% survived after 4.5 years, which is how long it took on average. So that would mean 40% survived, or 60% died out of 300. This is easy math. 6 times 30 is 180. So 180 deaths from the standard of care arm. That means let's 118 more to get to the 298, right? Let's say 120 more. We have 300 in the multi-kind arm. That would mean 120 would be what percent? 40%. So 40% only died in the multi-kind, or 60% survived in the multi-kind, and only 40% survived in the standard of care, which is a 50% increase. Not a 10% increase, but a 50% increase, because you're starting with 40% survival in the standard of care. You end up with 60% survival in the multi-kind group. That's a 50% increase. Do the math. Now, of course, I've simplified the math drastically, and I made all kinds of assumptions, but they're reasonable assumptions. I'm going to turn the floor over to you for a bear argument.
Well, yeah, first I have to address your argument, and then
Sure.
one of my own. And in full disclosure, I do own a very, very tiny amount of CVM call option, very tiny. I still remain bearish on the stock. Yeah, as far as the math goes, I mean, I think that's the best bull argument for CVM, nothing else. I mean, honestly, I have to look at your numbers myself, right? I just haven't done just the statistical analysis on the trial itself. Now, let me ask you this: when was the last patient enrolled? Which year was that?
The last enrollment was when the FDA stopped the trial. That was in 16, September of 16.
Yeah, 16. Yeah. So, I mean, that would bring me to my fair argument is why was the trial stop in 14 and 16? Particularly because in 14, it was stopped for efficacy and safety reasons by the IDMC. CVM didn't disclose it until the following year, and they never disclosed it again after that. In 16, the IDMC recommended that they stop the trial again. So the first time that the IDMC recommended the trial be stopped, CVM did not listen to the IDMC. They continued the trial. 2 years later, they recommended the same outcome, which is to stop the trial for safety and efficacy reasons. The drug is it's not working and it's not safe. And the FDA had to stop in the second time around to shut down the trial. Now, why did that happen?
They didn't shut down the trial. They said no further patients could be dosed. Those who were already dosed were allowed to be followed. So they did technically that's not a complete shutdown.
Well, they did shut it down until CVM submitted some more information. What information did they submit? I don't know. That was not disclosed. But basically, the argument on CVM cel-sci side is that, well, since everyone has been dosed, I mean, there's no reason to shut it down because no one is being administered the cocktail. And by the way, the mechanism of action, right? I mean, at least for dosing, you take it one time and then never again for the remainder of the trial, right? So people,
but I think it's 7 treatments, isn't it?
I think it's one time, right?
I think it's over a period of a week, but I could be wrong.
Right. But after that, that's it, right? For the rest of
that's it.
Yeah.
After that, they get standard of care.
Yeah. So, look, my bear argument, and I usually be along CVM, but there's really two. One is no one has been able to give a good reason as to why the IDMC shut it down. The only good reason is that, well, they started the trial up again. So that must mean that it's safe and it's working. Well, no, that's not true because there's no point after 2016 to shut it down. I mean, people has already been dosed, right? I mean, there's no more safety concern. So, I mean, you could just make the case.
They could have shut it down for futility. In other words, if there is no chance of meeting the endpoints, then it's futile. Then shut it down. They did not shut it down for futility. Therefore, there was a chance that they meet the endpoints.
Well, yeah, but who's paying for the trial, right? The CVM shareholder. And this is a company with one drug in the pipe. I mean, you could count leads, but usually a company, let's say you're a pharmaceutical company and the IDMC says, hey, there's no futility, there's no basically efficacy reason, you should probably shut down this trial because you're wasting your money. The logical thing to do would be to shut down the trial. In this case, you only have one drug in the company, and you could make a case that, you know what, we're getting paid $1 million a year salary to be in this company, it's actually better for us to not shut down this trial, because we shut it down, we've got nothing else to do. Maybe we have to buy another asset.
Well, the IDMC does not recommend to CVM; they recommend to the FDA, and the FDA.
That's not true. They recommend the first time to CVM to shut that down.
Is that you know that for a fact?
Yeah, the first, yes, the first time they recommended to CVM to shut it down because it's not working, efficacy and safety. The CVM did not listen, so 2 years later they recommended the trial to be shut down again, and this time they had to involve the FDA to essentially enforce shutting down the trial, which they did for a short period of time.
Yes, I reckon everything you say is true, but the mathematics is still compelling. And basically one of the only ways to explain the mathematics of it is that it was more efficacious than the standard of care, and people lived longer that were in the multi-kind trial. Almost the only way that I could think of. And I looked at many scenarios, playing around with the numbers to try to make it come out less than 10%. And that was like stretching the numbers very thin. Lopsided dropout rates, big dropout rates, all sorts of distortions. So the mathematics don't lie as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and once again, the mathematics is the only, I wouldn't be able to disprove that one. That's the only bull case, in my opinion. Everything else sounds bearish to me. The shutdown of the trial by the IDMC, which is the only people with access to the information, right? They're the only one who knows what's going on inside the trial, and they recommend that it be shut down. So, yeah, the other bear case would be the management team, which, no one came from big pharmaceutical backgrounds. One was, sued by the SEC, the original founder of CVM for security fraud, Maximilian, Gert being his the founder's son-in-law, is also a bit suspicious to me. The management team definitely do not raise confidence. Now, I like Gert. I think he's a charismatic guy, but anyway, that's beside the point. I will say that once again, the mathematics, I can't disprove that. However, I don't know what else goes into what other factor might be at play in terms of stretching out the survivability, the average survivability of the patient.
I think the company offered an excuse why the IDMC had a negative report in 2014. They blamed it on the first CRO that they subsequently dismissed and moved to another CRO. They said that they mismanaged the trial, and who knows what they said.
Well, that's the thing. They actually did not say that. Like, no one knows exactly what the CRO did. The fact that the case went to arbitration means that you can't actually look up the details of that case. So the only thing you have to go with is the PR that CVM put out themselves regarding how they won the case. But I'm having trouble tying why the IDMC would shut it down for safety and efficacy reasons due to the negligence of the CRO, particularly because, like, even in CVM's word, they didn't actually say anything that would lead me to believe that the CRO negligence led to less efficacy and less safety for the drug.
But your bearish thesis is implying management is aware of the fact that there's very little chance that there's going to be a proven efficacy and that they're going to meet their endpoints, and they're just keeping this going to collect a paycheck, which is, I mean, it's possible, but probably not likely in my mind. I don't think that. That would be like borderline evil. And I'm not judging character. I would say Gert is not borderline evil. I don't think he's evil. Maybe a businessman, but he's not evil. And I think that extent, I don't think he would go to.
Yeah, regarding that, I just don't know. I just don't know. Um, I like to believe Gert is a good guy. He seems like a good person, a very likable person. But the founder of the company did have some dubious issues, right? Him selling down the stock. Yeah, he was. The SEC had a lawsuit against him for security fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after that, he stepped down from the company.
Well, Gert has also got invested in this company. Very well invested.
Yeah, but he's also getting paid over $1 million a year for a very long time. So now the 3 million shares. I mean, if I was in that position, I would also buy share in the company. As even if you spend half of your paycheck on the company, look, once again, we, the shareholder, pay the salary of the board. And if he takes half of that salary, which is not half, it's more like 25% to buy share in the company, it only makes sense. And not only does it make sense, it's actually a very smart thing to do.
Well, Godfather is, I think, basically on your side, but I don't know. I'm not sure he's of that much ill repute to pull this stunt. He's got his reputation on the line. He's got his integrity on the line. There's a lot more to lose than just money.
Well, yeah, you have to remember that Gertz. Now, look, once again, I don't know if this is a scam or not, right? I'm just, I am taking the bear position, so I got to do some arguments here, right?
Right.
But if you look at the board, no one except for one part-time guy, Robert Watson. I mean, he has big pharmaceutical experience. Look up Bruno Ballavone, right? Like, check out which successful company he's been in. Same thing. I mean, no one, like, there's literally no one with a pharma background. Gertz, this is essentially his only job, beside from one other one that he had before joining the company, and that the previous job wasn't in biotech or pharmaceutical at all. So I'm not saying that this is an intentional scam, but
I got my hopes on the math and also on the fact that ultimately the FDA allowed the study to continue to its conclusion and could have stopped it several times along the way. And they stopped the dosing. They didn't stop the following of the patients.
Well, yeah, but the IDMC, right? So when people make the case for, well, one of the bull case that people will make is that, well, look, the IDMC let it go on, for additional 5 years. Why did they do that? Well, and the fact is that the IDMC did not let it go on for more than 4 years. They recommended twice that it be shut down. The FDA is, will come in when they need to, but the IDMC is the one overseeing the trial.
Okay, but the FDA came in just to stop the dosing, but they after that they said, okay, follow it. Follow everybody that's been dosed.
Yeah, but no one is losing money except for CBM, and even CBM is not losing money. It's the shareholder that are funding the trial.
There's also an inconvenience to the patient that's being followed. If the FDA felt that it was futile, they would have said it's futile. No more, don't follow them anymore.
Well, yes and no. I think that the FDA will shut it down if something is clearly a risk to the participant in the trial. But at this point, everyone has been dosed already. So there's not really a safety thing. I mean, it's not like you can remove the drug that has already been administered.
All right, you don't think that BlackRock thought of this?
BlackRock is in almost every bio stock. CVM actually have somewhat of a low institutional holding. So, I mean, that would be a trap of an argument for you, because I can pull up similar companies in this space with significantly larger, a higher amount of institutional holdings. BioCris, for example, it's over 90%. I mean, you look up CVM, it's what, 30 or 40. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not good either. And the institutional holding the stock.
All right, closing statement for the bear argument.
Yeah, closing statement. I think it's a toss up, based on the mathematics. But I wouldn't go too bigly into the company just because of the past of the management team or lack thereof, and because the only people with access to the information, the only people, which is the IDMC, actually recommended to shut it down. And that's why I'm bearish on it. Unless someone...
All right, here's my counter argument. It's true that if they wanted this to be the biggest scam in biotech history, they could pull it off because of the circumstantial evidence that you present. But at the same time, the mathematics is very compelling and is the basis of a very strong argument favoring better survival for multi-kind treated patients. So let's leave it at that. People will make their own decisions.
Yeah. Well, here's a bonus, right? Here's a crazy situation. A crazy situation would be that, I'm not saying this is the case.
Yeah.
That CVM have something, big pharmaceutical company knows this, so they team up to basically put a cap on the trial. They paid off the previous CRO to not do his job, drag his feet. Basically, everyone is against CVM and GERD, because if this thing is successful, it would steal away too much of a market share from the standard of care, right? That's like the crazy situation.
Well, not only the standard of care, but the possible next standard of care, which would be Keytruda.
Sure, I'm not saying that's the case, but that is a conspiracy theory angle, which I wish that was the case. If that's the case, even if I don't own any CVM at all, I would be a very happy guy, especially since GERD always talk about we're this little guy going up against the big, the big pharmaceutical companies and things like that, right? If that actually happened, that would be crazy. If that's actually the situation. So
I think that's just as likely as the other scenario you painted, where it's one big scam. I think they're equally likely, both unlikely. I think more likely we're going to get positive results. And so far, I have my money that way. And am I sure? No. I've been saying all along, I think it's a flip of a coin based on the negative arguments that you put forth, other negative arguments, and the fact that we really don't know until we see the data, period.
Yeah, and look, at this point, it's not, the conversation shouldn't even be around, do you think it's going to be good or do you think it's going to be bad? I mean, the real thing that you want to know is when will data be released? If you can figure that out, even if you don't know if it's going to be good or bad, you'll make money either way by doing a mix of calls and puts, right?
Yeah, just buy a straddle, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what you want to find out. Yeah, besides,
That's true. I lost a lot of money with my September calls expiring and puts at September calls and puts. And now I have October's in danger and I have January's. So I'm getting, it's upsetting. I'm in the hole because of that. All right, anyway, let's get to the rest of the show. Otherwise, we won't have time for the rest of the show.
yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at SPX, and we'll go through the rest of it real quick. The SPX, as of 12:45, was up 19 points. I don't know what it is now unless I refresh. All right, I'll refresh. It's up 28.99 or 0.9%. Nice comeback. The 3,200 to 3,240 level that I've been yelling at the top of my lungs will hold. So far, looking good. I'm not going to waste too much time though. The Qs, because I show this chart all the time. The Qs I looked at for the first time in a long time. They look more vulnerable than the S&P 500 to me. So should there be a turn down, I expect 250 to be the bottom on the Qs. But I don't think that it will be, but should there be, 250. So we're looking at a pretty big collapse off the top. The top being, look at that top candle. It was a doji, but it was not a bad looking doji, and yet it collapsed anyway. It was 303.50 at the high to 250. 300 to 250, it's about 16.67%. About 17% it could be by the time this thing is over, if it's not already over. I'm betting that it's already over. The downturn, that is. Unless things really get heated up with no stimulus and COVID erupting and a hung election. I mean, there's a lot of potential headwinds, is the question.
Yeah, hey,
bcrx.
Chris Martinez, just real quick, gave me a great recommendation. I actually went to the wineries he recommended last Friday and bought some Croson wine. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, great call.
Thank you, Chris. BioCris Pharmaceuticals, 357 up 14 cents. It's got a beautiful green candle, the kind I like after a long downturn. I mean, we have a new bottom, a new low yesterday at 330, taking out the low about 3 weeks ago of 331, which I came close to calling. I called 335. On this pullback, I couldn't resist. I increased my position significantly, and I'm liking what I see thus far. Will it get past the 200-day? Probably. Is that the 200? I can't see my colors. The colors of my lines. I think it's the 200. I believe it is. Let me see. That's purple. That's red. It should be black. Yeah, I think it is. So the 200-day is serving as resistance right now. Gets through that, I think we're looking at challenging the relative high that we turned in September 15th at 417. So I think we could have a move back to the fours if we can just break that 200. All right. Will we have another retest of the 130 level? It's possible. I don't think so, coming off today's strength.
Mm.
But who knows?
Yeah, so in the next 1, 2,
And
3.
that's really not the point, because the point is factor D and Beratelstat and galidesivir and all the names that I said wrong.
Yeah, next 3 days, 3 business days for factor D data.
What phase is that?
Phase 1.
So that's not meaningful, really.
Well, I mean Godfather can chime in here, but the other company was bought out and they were in phase 1.
Yeah, but it's not likely.
Yeah, now I'm not saying we'll get it bought out for factor D,
Yeah,
but it should. I mean, if data is good, it should add a couple of dollars to the stock price.
usually with phase 1 data, it pops that day and it sells right back off.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. But okay, so it will give you a pop if it's good, but it will also add to the buyout premium if and when that happens.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
athx was in red zone, like in football, the red zone. We were in trouble here. So luckily for us longs, it got out of that trouble by crossing over the 197 level. I see 197 as being on the brink. It hit 181 the other day, which of course is the new support level, if you want to call it that. I don't see much support at all until about 156. So on any given collapse, I think it's going to go to that 156 level.
Oh wow.
The data shorts had their way with the stock. That's back here on. Of course, it does. I hope not, and I don't necessarily think it will. 156 was back here on. Having trouble with the days. Well, it looks like months ago at this point. So anyway, right now it's back above 2. Let it stay there so I can sleep much better at night. I don't like when it hits that 197 level. I get shudders. All right, so that's my own reaction to the 197 level. It scares the hell out of me. Below that, because I envision that 156 drop, and who knows if that holds. So if this thing starts deep going down, it will go down rapidly. On the other hand, there's nothing to propel it except expectations of probably not barter, probably not a partner, expectations of good news coming out of Japan, and that'll be first quarter. So the shorts may have their way until then, or until close to then. I'm feeling nervous about this one. I own a lot of it, and I can't say, I would be a liar if I said I'm not nervous. Not so nervous that I'm selling any, but I'm nervous. That's just my feelings on athx.
Yeah, if it goes down at 150, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it could go down to 115 again. I've been there before, and it could, it amazes me how many times it gets down there. This one has got the opposite than athx. It's a Momo play. If I'm looking for a quick 10 or 20%, I'd be in this one. Sava. In fact, I am in this one. So it's not that I would be, I am. And I keep thinking of adding, but I took a pretty good position. So I probably won't add. My position, I took my position about a week ago at just about the price that it's at, a little below. So this is the Alzheimer's drug. It has good phase 2 data, very good woman CEO that's going to present October 1st. at a conference. The fundamentals look interesting. Buyout possibility. A lot of insider buying in the nines.
Oh wow.
It looks very good to me. Looks very good to me. I'll tell you, I'm over here in the eastern end of Long Island in the Hamptons, and I'm heading back today. Today is I'm going to be on the move, so I think we're going to limit it to just these stocks today. We covered a lot. Did you see this, or am I off of screen share?
You're off. Yeah, but it's Sava, SAVA.
Oh, so everything that I was pointing to, nobody saw. That's very encouraging. Anyway, you get the drift of what I was looking at, right?
Yeah.
So that's good enough.
Yeah, coin toss, CVM.
Sava, S-A-V-A.
Sava, yeah.
Sava. NWBO before I go. NWBO slid today, didn't it? Let me take a look on my phone. People getting nervous before data, right? I don't know why it slipped today. It's never a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Came down from 91 pennies to, last I looked, it was something like 68 pennies. I'd be lying if I said it was a good sign. I still own half of my second original position. I've been in and out of this one a few times making money. Am I totally optimistic? No. I rated a coin flip just like CVM. And phase 3 data. Dendritic cells to fight cancer. Whatever that means. NWBO. And they're fighting brain tumors, glioblastoma, whatever that is. I'm not an expert on that, but I know it's a nasty cancer. I think it's the one. I think it's the one that the most common one, isn't it? Glioblastoma. The one Carter had, maybe. One Ted Kennedy had. 67.5 cents. Oy, not too good. What was the low? The low was 65.5 cents. I sold at 53 cents, so it's still above where I sold half my position. Not a good sign. Well, I'm just going to say it's not a good sign, but I'm not coming off my odds, even money, either way.
Yeah, but Tim Kirk asked, "What do I think?" There's so much institutional ownership, bcrx. I mean, Godfather can probably give a better answer than me. I mean, there's two sides, right? The bull side is because it's a good company and they think they can make a lot of money, and they have some kind of knowledge that. I mean, I do think institutional knows when the PR and the catalyst will come. So I think they're accumulating for a buyout. And then the flip side.
You and Godfather and Erod and a few others, I think you're brainwashing me. I'm beginning to become a believer.
Well, look, I'm going to give you the flip side, right? The flip side is a company.
Don't give me the flip side. You'll confuse me.
Right.
Let's go with the upside.
All right. Just the upside.
Just the upside today. We gave everybody a headache with CVM. bcrx.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, his stocks never go to.
Says America wants a 2-hour show today.
Yeah.
Not today, Jiggly. We're going to say sayonara, au revoir, Vigazen, arrivederci, ciao, shalom, take care, be well, see you on Wednesday. Boeing aircraft next Wednesday for David. I don't understand why RCL keeps going up. It bothers me. Probably I was wrong in being bearish. Bye, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.